Mark 16:4, the story continues, and it says, "But when they looked up, they saw that the stone, which was very large, had been rolled away. As they entered the tomb, they saw a young man dressed in white sitting on the right side, and they were alarmed." Now, they're about to get really good news. They're about to get the news that Jesus is alive. But as we read, I want you to pick up on something. There's a lot of fear in this passage mixed in with the good news. They're afraid, even though they're getting really good news. So it continues in verse 6. "Don't be alarmed," he said. "You are looking for Jesus the Nazarene, who was crucified. He has risen." I'm going to try it again. He is risen. You're looking for Jesus. He's not here. He is risen. He is not here. See the place where they laid him. But go, tell his disciples and Peter he is going ahead of you into Galilee. There you will see him just as he told you. Trembling and bewildered, the women went out and fled from the tomb. They said nothing to anyone because they were afraid. So this experience that they just went through, the women and then the disciples, they watched this guy Jesus, who they've been following for the last 3 years. They placed their hope, their trust, their future, their dreams, all in Jesus' hands. And then a few days ago, they watched him get killed pretty violently and publicly. And then they get really good news from this angel. He says, "Hey, Jesus is alive." And yet, while they receive this really good news, the best news they could hope for in going to the tomb, they're terrified. They're afraid. They're really going through this roller coaster of emotions where we're following Jesus into Jerusalem. He's going to be the new king. And then he's dead, and they're terrified. And now he's alive, but that fear is still there. They're still kind of stuck in this tension of, hey, this is good news, but also I just watched him die. And I don't know where this story is going, but I haven't enjoyed this part. And that fear's there. I was talking to Carlos and Chase this week. We were talking about our messages, and I was asking, what's an experience that's similar to this, where you're really happy, but also really afraid at the same time? And Chase was talking about his job and moving when he got the news that he was going to be taking a job in Fresno. It's very exciting, but it's also terrifying because it's Fresno. And then Carlos was talking about relationships, like when you're stepping into a relationship, it's really exciting, but it's also wow, my life's never going to be the same. Like when you're getting married, that's a big deal. It's really exciting, but it's also scary because everything's going to change. I brought this with me. Does anyone know what this is? Yeah. Pregnancy test. It's not used. Don't worry. It's Brandon. I just opened it. It's a pregnancy test. And for me, this was it, man. This, when my wife showed this to me, I remember I got home from work. And she was going to surprise me. She was going to do something clever, but she couldn't keep her mouth shut. She had to tell me, and I'm thankful for it. And I remember being so excited and so afraid at the same time. Do you remember, for those of you who had kids, do you remember that feeling when you knew that you were going to have a kid? Like the joy and the excitement, but also the my life is never going to be the same. And it's not, right? When you have a kid, you know that your life will never be the same. And there should be a healthy amount of fear, right? You shouldn't get this and say, wow, this is going to be the best thing in my life. It will be really good, but it's also going to be really tough. There are some tough times that come along with this. Now, the disciples, they get this news that Jesus is alive. This is great news, but they are afraid. And in their fear, they get stuck. Instead of hearing the good news and stepping out in faith, they hear the good news, but they really get stuck in the fear that comes along with it. And instead of moving forward in joy, what we see them do is Mary goes and tells them, hey, Jesus is alive. I just went to the tomb. He's not there. He's alive. They hear this, this is great, but all of a sudden the doubt creeps in. The fear creeps in. And instead of going to Galilee like they're instructed, they lock themselves in this room. And they stay put. They're stuck in their fear. And I think there are a lot of us that find ourselves in this situation where God shows up in a pretty powerful way. If I ask for a show of hands, I believe the majority of you have encountered God in a powerful way. Our theme for Easter is encounter. I think most of us get that part. God just shows up. But it's that next part, the part where Jesus says, hey, I want you to go to Galilee. He tells the disciples, go to Galilee and I will see you there. And they get stuck, though. They've encountered Jesus, but then in their fear of what might be next, they don't follow Jesus. And I think some of us are stuck there where God showed up in our lives. We say, God, you are real. But then God says, follow me. And we say, whoa, 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 I don't know if I'm ready for that. I'm afraid of what will happen to my life if I follow you. Yes, God, I believe in you. Heaven sounds amazing. I believe that Christ is Lord. But will you follow him? And that fear sets in. And then we lock ourselves back in our normal lives. And we get stuck there. We get stuck in our brokenness. We get stuck in our sadness. We get stuck in these cycles of self-destruction. And we say, I know I need Jesus, but I'm just so afraid to commit to him and to actually follow him. What Jesus says to the disciples, he actually makes it pretty simple. He says, go to Galilee. And for the disciples, Galilee is home. That's where their families live. That's where they used to work. That's where their friends lived. That's where they lived. Galilee is home. And essentially what Jesus is saying, hey, go back home. Go back to where you work. Go back to where you lived. Go back to where your family is. Go back to where your friends are. Go back home. When this happens, everything is different. But everything's kind of the same, too. You think about it, you go home from the hospital and you've got that baby and you're driving the same car. You go back to your same house. You probably got your same job. Probably got your same friends. You sleep on your same mattress. Not as much. Everything's the same, even though everything's different. And this is how it is with Jesus. Jesus, we have this idea that if we say yes or if we commit to following him, then everything's going to be different. And it will, but it's also going to kind of be the same. Sometimes this fear halts us and paralyzes us because we say, man, everything's going to be different. And it's true. But we have to understand that when things are different, when we say yes to Jesus, it's better. We're not stuck anymore. We're not broken anymore. There's hope and there's something new. But yeah, it's scary. And yeah, it's easier to say, oh, I don't know about that. But Jesus is calling us, not just to accept him as God, but to follow him. During this next song, we're going to do something a little different. There's 16 people here who have agreed to share their story on a poster. God has been doing some pretty cool things here at Canyon Hills. And kind of been watching over the last few years as God has kind of really spoken clearly and said, we have big things in store. He's really spoken to each of us pastors, and many of you saying, I'm doing something big. And that's been kind of exciting to hear, but then it's been even more exciting to see. And we're starting to see this kind of cascade where people are saying yes to following Jesus. Not just saying, yes, I believe in you, but yes, I will follow you. They're stepping into that change. And things are happening in the lives of these individuals. And it's been amazing to see. And so during this next song, you're going to see them come and share their story. It's going to be just one sentence on one side of where their life was. And then they're going to flip that poster over and you're going to see where Jesus is taking them. And it is our prayer and it is our hope that those of you who are stuck this morning, those of you who have been afraid to really follow and really commit, that you would hear the good news. Not just that Jesus is alive, but that Jesus is a God of second chances. When the disciples locked themselves in that upper room, Jesus doesn't go to Galilee and wait for them. He knows they're afraid, and he knows they're stuck. You know what he does? If you read on in the Gospels, Jesus goes to that room. Jesus told them, I'm going to go to Galilee. I'll see you there. But they're stuck, and they're afraid. And Jesus says, I'm not done with you guys yet. And he goes to that room, and he meets them in their fear. He meets them in their doubt. He meets them in their uncertainty. He meets them in their lack of faith. And he says, I love you too much to give up on you. I'm not done with you. I love you too much to allow you to stay in your brokenness, to stay in your hurt. I'm not done with you. God's not done with you. You may have been saying no for a really long time. You may have been pushing him away. God's not done with you. He loves you too much to give up on you. Are Are you ready to take that next step? God is speaking to some of you this morning. Are you ready to take that next step? Are you ready to say, yes, God, I will follow you. I don't know what that looks like, and I am terrified, and my life will never be the same, but I'm going to trust that it will be good. It will be your good. At the end of service today, after the songs, after Carlos's message, I want to invite you, if that's you, to come get prayer. To make that statement, say, I will follow Jesus. I want to pray for you. I want to pray that you'd have courage. I want to pray that you have clear direction. I want to celebrate with you.
Nothing short of a miracle, I'm here. I've got some blessings that I don't deserve. I got some scars, but that's how you learn. I know another a miracle, I'm here. I think it over and it doesn't add up. I know it comes from above. I got miracles on miracles, a million little miracles. Yeah, miracles on miracles. Count your miracles, 1, 2, 3, 4. I can't even count them all. You held me steady so I wouldn't give up. You opened doors that nobody could shut.